Welcome everyone to the 2015 Cold Stone Florida Winter Tour finale here at Ocala Grand Prix. Today was 3 practice sessions and official qualifying. We originally, there was plans to run Super Pole, but a big storyline today was the rain that came in the middle of qualifying. It definitely threw a bunch of guys off guard. DD2 was on the grid. They were about ready to go out, and then they called it a rain race, and they gave it, of course, the 15 minutes. What did you see, Tony, today? You were the one out there calling all the races.
Yeah, absolutely. Qualifying today, we had Super Pole qualifying for all of our classes scheduled to come right after timed qualifying. And then the weather forecasted showed for about 4 o'clock just real heavy stuff to hit the area. Conditions we wouldn't have been able to run Super Pole in, so they decided to scuttle Super Pro. We're going to run it tomorrow in after morning warm-up, and so that's a huge deal, moving qualifying the second half of it to tomorrow morning after morning warm-up.
Exactly, and with those conditions, some of the drivers that were up front that are in the championship chase had a little bit of difficulty in qualifying. 2 drivers specifically in junior, Matias Ramirez, this is his home track, qualified 14th, and then Nicholas D'Orlando in Mini, who's also in the championship hunt, qualified 12th. And I know Nicholas has been struggling a little bit this weekend. He's been a little bit off the pace. They were quick early in the weekend. They say a little bit might be the mental side of things. He might be feeling the pressure after last weekend of just missing the championship. There was a lot of pressure on him to get that championship this weekend. What do you see from him out there on the track?
Well, exactly. We were here last weekend with the Rock Cup portion of the Florida Winter Tour. D'Orlando was involved in that great championship fight. He missed it by just a hair, and you wonder what mental side effects that's going to carry on into this weekend with Rotax, and he's fighting for the Junior Max title here. And he mentioned it again, Matias Ramirez, a OGP driver here at his home track. He locked up the championship at Rock Cup last weekend, and so I really was surprised to see slow times out of him. I certainly don't expect him to stay too far in the back of the grid for long after those heat races get going tomorrow. But yeah, Ramirez and D'Orlando certainly was surprised with those lap times today. Not of character for those guys. The heat races will be very exciting for both those drivers tomorrow.
They'll be very exciting, and we're expected to be dry conditions tomorrow. It's just a short little spurt of rain here this afternoon.
Yep.
It's already starting to let up. Still some sprinkles, but tomorrow looks to be clear and sunny. A little bit cooler temperatures, so with the grip washed off, people might have to, in the morning warm-up, adjust their setups that they've been working on throughout the day. Now, we talked about some drivers that struggled a little bit in qualifying, but we have 2 drivers here that did exceptionally well. And the first one I want to talk to actually may have found a little bit more speed when the rain came. We're talking about Steven Szigeti, who qualified on pole in the Rotax Senior Max category and out-qualified second place by 0.4 of a second. That's a pretty big gap.
That's a lot.
So, Steven, we haven't seen you around here a little bit. You missed the first 2 rounds. Is this your first race of the season?
Yeah, it's my first race since, I believe, September. I've just been sticking to doing schoolwork, and I got ahead with it, so I was able to come down for the weekend.
Well, that's awesome. We're glad to see you here. Like we just said, 0.4 of a second over second place. I mean, you put in a lap pretty quick in the beginning, and then we saw your lap times. You kind of found a pretty even pace. You're still about the same speed, a second or third or a 10th quicker. And then right at the end, I think 2 or 3 laps from the end, you put down another flyer. I think you're the only I can't remember the second bracket, but you're the only person in that second bracket, and you had 0.4 on second place. Do you feel like, I know you weren't those top 3 drivers in the dry. Are you pretty confident that you're working towards a setup to get your speed back up there in the dry?
Yeah, we're feeling pretty confident going into tomorrow. Obviously, we still have a bit of time to make up on the first couple drivers, but I think with all the work that we're putting in, we should be able to find the time eventually.
Now, you're back with the team that you usually race with, SH Karting. Must be pretty easy. You know the crew. You have the relationship there. You're on familiar material with OTK product. Did that make it a little bit easier, taking all that? So that was quite a bit of time off to just jump back in the cart and feel comfortable out there?
Yeah, definitely. I started with this team a long time ago, so just working with the guys, it's natural. Like I can tell them like what's wrong with the cart, what I need to do, and it's a good experience with them.
Perfect. Well, good luck tomorrow. I know you'll be at the front. You're always at the front anyways, and you'll find that speed in the dry you're looking for.
Thanks.
Well, now we're joined with Nick Neri, our top qualifier after the first round of timed sessions today in DD2 presented by Dallas Karting Complex. Nick Neri picking up the top time. You're going to advance tomorrow into Super Pole qualifying. That's going to be really exciting. But before we get onto that, I want to ask you kind of a different sort of question. For so long, you were a Team OGP driver racing out of Ocala here with these guys. You've obviously made the transition to Anderson racing on the Birel. So how is it to come back to OGP, a track and a team where you really made your name? What's it like to be back here at OGP?
It's a little bit different being with OGP for 7 years, and this facility in particular being kind of a home away from home for me. Spending summers here when I was younger, just driving all the time, working in the shop and all that kind of stuff. It's at first coming in the shop, having to actually sign in and do all that stuff was a little bit weird, but the last couple weeks being here for the Rock weekend, working a little bit, and this weekend it's starting to get used to it, and the Anderson guys are helping a lot.
Absolutely. The transition from Anderson and onto that Birel chassis, it seems to have paid off pretty well for you. You pick up the pole like we talked about today in timed qualifying. You'll advance on to Super Pole tomorrow. So with Super Pole ahead of us and those 3 rounds of heat races, what is your strategy to make sure that you stay ahead of all these very fast guys in DD2? And that's the thing, is this has been such a talented category so far at the Winter Tour in 2015. What are you going to do to make sure you stay in front of these fast guys in DD2 tomorrow?
There's not a whole lot you can do. Right now we're setting ourselves up to do really well. So far this week been really fast, up at the front every session, so hopefully just keep that momentum going and look forward to Sunday.
Okay, and what do you think of the international level of competition we've had here so far at the Cold Stone Florida Winter Tour at Homestead? Arguably one of the most talented groups of DD2 drivers we've had on U.S. soil ever, and the talent level continues to show up each and every weekend.
Oh, it's been great. It's really good for me. I enjoy it a lot. I learn a lot from a lot of these guys coming over and being able to race with them. And the more competition, I think, is the better. It's better for the sport in the United States, and it makes it a lot more exciting for everybody watching.
Definitely. You've been one of the highest running Americans week in and week out among all this international competition. So congratulations on the top time today in round 1 of qualifying, we'll call it, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Super Pole. Good luck to you, okay?
Thank you.
Well, Tony, we got 2 drivers on pole. They're confident for tomorrow, but there's a load of drivers behind them in both categories that are really looking to either get that final race win, right?
Oh, yeah.
To end their winter season strong and to get into the summer series and be confident and moving forward. And obviously the championship battle is starting to heat up. The interesting thing about this circuit is because it's shorter, the times are very close, as we've seen in qualifying and throughout practice. Rain, obviously we saw a little bit bigger gaps, but in the categories that qualified in the dry, the times are very close here, which also makes it pretty difficult to pass. So it's going to be interesting to see some of those drivers that have to make up time, how they're going to do throughout the heat races. And maybe they might push the issue a little bit and be too aggressive, and it might hurt them in the long run.
Yeah, we saw it here last weekend with Rock Cup. It's a very short track here, very tight, very technical. It's a lot of chassis setup. Of course, it doesn't mean the engine doesn't matter, but at the end of the day, as always, it comes down to the driver. And we've got some of the best here racing this weekend at the championship round of the 2015 Rotax Florida Winter Tour. So honestly, Chris, I can't wait for racing to start tomorrow. That Super Pole qualifying is going to be so awesome. Again, all classes from micro up to masters are going to get to run Super Pole, and then we're going to kick it off with 3 rounds of heat races. It is going to be so exciting tomorrow.
It is. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. We have one more person we want to discuss. This weekend is the official launch, or I guess last weekend was the official launch of PSL Karting and the relationship with BirleART. So now we're going to talk to Andrew Campbell here. So, Andrew, congratulations on everything. I know last weekend was, you could say, the soft launch, but this weekend is the big launch with the team. Everything looks great. It must be pretty satisfying to finally have everything wrapped up, and now you can announce it to the world, and you can move forward with the new project.
No, it's definitely been an amazing 2 weeks. Last weekend we kicked it off in the Rock Championship. We had Askew with us, who's a talented driver, was trained by some phenomenal people prior to us. We just put him on the equipment that had already been produced by BirleART. No, it's been great. The product's really easy to use, and there's minimal tuning parts for the equipment. It's a great group of people, obviously, and all of our clients are happy. All the drivers have been extremely satisfied with the material itself. Now we're just looking to get some more podiums here. The weekend has started off on the right foot, but now we still have the races, we still have the heats, we still have the drivers to take care of. But no, we're really excited.
Now, obviously we made the announcement on Kart 360 about the initial launch. Is not much information could be given on the relationship and how it's going to move forward. One of the questions we've been hearing is you've had a lot of success with the new PSL Mini X2. How is that kart going to carry over? Is BirleART going to make a version of that moving forward, or are you going to continue to race that chassis for a little bit? How's that going to work?
You know, it's actually quite a delicate situation. CRG, you know, manufactured the chassis for us based on some of our measurements. We're going to move forward with a completely new design, you know, still within the 1010 measurements, some very similar characteristics that, you know, we really understand the kart. We know what it means to make it work on the hard tires, but there is a chassis is being developed right now. Just we were really limited with time. Obviously, you know, we only made our announcement 40 days ago, so it's a little bit difficult. But yes, in the future, the customers can expect to see a new mini chassis by BirleART. But you know, we have to test and develop just like we did in the past. And then when we're fully, you know, comfortable, then we'll release it to the normal market, and it'll be available for purchase.
Perfect. Now, from my understanding, the race team and the distribution is going to be separate, if I understand correctly. Can you talk a little bit more about how the distribution is going to work when people that maybe want to become a dealer, or people are interested in the brand that don't come to these big races but want to be a part of the brand?
Yeah, that's actually another very good question. At the moment, there will be a transition period because there's some other great people that have already been involved with Birle in the past, and now that we're an importer for the product as well, there will be a transition period. So we would like to encourage that the current dealers for BirleART product continue to purchase from you know, their current distributor. But in the meantime, there will be a fantastic system where the dealers can access a website, they log in, they just place the order. So it's very efficient, automatically makes a PO for them. The part numbers are there, the catalog's there. We have a great system already in place when we were dealing with our previous product, the CRG, and now we'd like to continue forward with that, but obviously improve on it. In the meantime, new dealers, they can contact us directly, and we can set them up with the program that's in place now.
Perfect. Well, it's great information, Andrew. Thank you for taking the time to give us that bit of information, and good luck to all your drivers tomorrow.
Thanks, Chris. It's great.
So, guys, there you have it. The end of day one. And Tony, tomorrow we're looking forward. We're getting down and dirty. This is when some points can be gained. You know, no points today were really gained, but tomorrow, as we saw last weekend, these heat points and pre-final points can play a big difference in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And the important thing to remember at this final weekend is that it's not the typical format of the last 2 weekends of the Winter Tour, where it was a separate race day on Saturday and a separate race day on Sunday. This weekend, with qualifying today on Friday, Super Pole tomorrow morning, 3 rounds of heats that will set the starting grid for the pre-final and the main event, obviously, Sunday morning. It's a completely different type of event, and as Tim Hannon, our chief steward, said in the drivers' meeting today, normally going into the final weekend of a series like this, 2 or 3 guys are in the hunt for a championship, but with the extra amount of points that are up for grabs in an event like this, in an event format like this, a lot more guys can be in the hunt for a championship going into the final main event this year. So it certainly has made for a lot of excitement. I'm a big fan of the new event format, and kicking off tomorrow with Super Pole, it's going to be a great weekend of racing.
Well, there you have it, guys. Remember, we are on location, so if you want all the up-to-date photos, videos, this interview, of course, results. We'll have full race reports with live photography in our social feed. Head to kart360.com on location for all the news that you need. Check back in tomorrow, and we'll see you online.